This is the dark Hendrickson, a nice little dry fly, something good for trout. Start with that hook in the vise. Black thread for this one, so we'll get that on here. Run that to the back for the tail. For the tail, we're going to use this hackle feather. I'm just going to pull off a couple pieces from the side of it here. Oops, sorry about that. Let's peel off a few of those. You can use the tip if you'd like. Just depends on what you got. Next up, we're going to take this gray dubbing. And if you look back at the original, and this is small fly, so you're not going to be using a lot of material on any of this. But you can see on the original there's not a ton there, so we're just going to use a little bit here to make that back into the body. Get my fingers wet. Try to roll this on kind of small so it doesn't have, we don't want to bulk up the body too much. Let's get this nice and tight on there. We're going to stop right about there so we have enough room to do the wings and the hackle in a second. Peeling off that extra dubbing real quick. A couple of wraps there. Next, we're going to take this long feather, long hackle feather. Going to kind of flare out those tips. Get that tied in. And now the wings. The wings can be tricky. Don't let it get to you. Take this. You can see I've got some pieces cut out. I'm going to just cut out another piece. So just take a small section of this feather like that. Oh, hang on. Let's try this again. Grab a couple more pieces there. There we go. I'm just going to snip that right off at the stem. I'm actually going to tie this one in upside down so the tip's down, just so we have a nice cleaner cut to the top. Make it look more like that original fly that we started with. Okay. Get this hackle feather put back towards over the back of my vise just to hold it out of the way. That obviously did not work because that feather came back in. Okay, so now we're going to hold this in here. This is kind of tricky. I'm going to try to wrap this around the front here. Let me back that off because I think that missed. Okay. Wrap that once or twice here. Now I'm going to come behind it and wrap it once or twice, trying to get it to force it to stand up here. So do your best to get that to stand up. You can wrap some more behind it. Try to build that up. I'm going to come in and cut off those extra pieces right now before I get my next piece in, just there's less in the way. Back for another piece of this. And the same thing. Couple wraps up front. Couple wraps in the back. Trying to put that thread close to that to help hold it up. So that thread kind of pushes it towards the front of the hook to help hold it in place. I'm going to do one more wrap here. Actually, two more wraps, because as I roll this vise over, those wraps kind of unroll anyway, so I want to make sure I've got them in place so that wing doesn't move. Now we're going to take this hackle feather and we're going to run it in the back a couple of times. I like to go at least twice. And then a couple of times in the front. Again, I like to go at least twice. You can get a lot of flies out of that one feather. And twice in the front and twice in the back seems to be good enough typically. Come in here and snip that off. Grab the whip finish tool. And there's the dark Hendrickson.